Today, we're here for TPG's Solution Spotlight on culture as a strategy. Welcome, Anilu and John. Let's dive right in. John, we'll start with you today. Culture as strategy, something that means a lot to me as well, and I'm quite focused on, is one of the main themes within your IPO. Can you walk us through what this means from an investing and people perspective, and furthermore, how is it received by analysts in the investing community?
Well, first of all, thanks for having us, Scott. Appreciate it. And this summit that Bloomberg has done has been something that we've been participating in for a while, and we think it's an important gathering. So, because this is an important topic, so we appreciate the opportunity to continue to participate in it with Bloomberg. You're right that culture was a very prominent part of our discussion with potential investors, with our new shareholders, as we went out on our IPO. And one of the things that we felt strongly about was that it's a real differentiator for TPG. So when people think about becoming shareholders and owning our stock, and why do they want to do that? Why do they think it's a good investment over time? I think we felt like the culture of our firm was distinctive, and not only is it critically important in terms of attracting and retaining great talent, but it also has a lot to do with the way we run our firm, and the way we actually invest and the way we do what we do. So, for instance, we try to run a very flat organization, which empowers people to engage, to participate in decision making, to participate in investing. We described our culture as we went around on the IPO as a producer-manager culture. We described it as everybody having multiple jobs. We wear multiple hats. So even if we're managing businesses or have our day jobs, in Anilu's case, being responsible for many things at the firm, including all of our people. And in my case, being the CEO of the firm, we're involved in what I think of as the sausage making of the business as well. So we are involved in investment committee. We're involved on the boards of portfolio companies. Both of us actually sit on the boards of portfolio companies. So that idea is very important. The other thing that we talked about is we work hard to keep silo walls down. We have 5 platforms at the firm. We have 17 products. We work hard at keeping the silo walls down. We think it's very important that people are able to permeate across platform and traffic across platform. So, for instance, one of the things we talked a lot about on the roadshow was that about 70% of our partners have actually invested across different parts of across different platforms and different pools of capital at the firm. And so we feel like that frame of reference, that what I sort of call peripheral vision, if you will, as you're investing in a particular sector, but you're also able to look at that sector within multiple stages of development. We believe that that's very important to how we invest in the success of what we do. So that was a very prominent. We actually call it shared teams and shared themes, because our teams move around the organization, and themes that show up in one strategy may very well show up, and often do, in another strategy. And then lastly, we have worked very hard here to think about our firm as an inclusive organization where people feel like they can come and be their best selves. But what that does is it attracts different perspectives, different ideas. And so we work very hard at thinking about how do we differentiate ourselves in that respect. And there are a number of things that we've done as a firm. And we believe that it's attracted a differentiated group of people that helps drive our business. So that's just to give you a sense how we talked about the cultural dynamic and culture as a strategy.
Thank you, John. And how was that received by the analysts in the investing community?
It resonated. It actually resonated a lot. I think that people felt like, first of all, it's got to come across. It's got to be authentic, right? And authenticity is a function of a lot of things. It's a function of how you speak about it, how you talk about it. It's a function of when they talk to multiple people around the organization, do they hear the same thing? In other words, do those the way we talk about investing? For instance, we had an analyst day in New York with 15 sell side analysts that would cover our stock, and we brought together quite a few people from the firm to present on what they do, how they invest, and I think it was the consistencies, and not everybody's saying exactly the same thing because it manifests itself in different ways around the firm, but the consistency that comes out when you listen to it that way. So there's an authenticity issue that I think was very well received. And then, just you look at some of the things, take as an important example, look at what we invest in and look at businesses that we've built and driven. Take our Rise or Impact business as an example. We've really innovated that part of the asset class within private markets. No one else has a business that looks quite like Rise or Rise Climate. And so, that's a $15 billion asset platform for us now. And, we've sort of put our money where our mouth is in that respect. So it was very well received. And I think it was viewed as being authentic and core to what we do.
Great. All right. One for you, Anilu. You've talked about the importance of being an engaged organization, a company with values. Becoming a public company comes with clear changes on how you can operate. How do you make sure this continues to be part of the DNA as you move forward as a public company?
Yeah, it was a very important part of the process. We are a very transparent organization with our employees, but with all of our stakeholders. So we actually, tried to communicate as much as we could within the bounds of, the public offering. But one of the things that we communicated very consistently about was the things about our culture that, as John said, made us who we are, but that we felt also we needed to persevere to keep, not only because they were important to us, but they were important to how we operate as a firm and what we deliver to our clients. So, we talked a lot about this producer manager culture, which has an implication for people that work here in terms of how they learn the business. This is an apprenticeship business. So that is something that even through the pandemic, we've been very focused on how can we replicate that, even if we're remote. We're now back in the office. And I think that that's one of the things actually that people have said to us, that it's getting easier, but also in terms of how we engage with one another and the culture of partnership. We're going to continue to make partners at the firm. And that's something that from a career perspective, people should continue to aspire. But the destination of becoming a partner is important, but the road that people travel is also important, and how we select partners will not change. And it's as much about their commercial impact. Within that commercial impact is how they treat one another, whether they're contributing to us becoming an even more inclusive environment for everyone that comes in, but also challenging the status quo. And so I think that there are things about how entrepreneurial people are here that actually match very well with being a diverse, equitable, and inclusive environment, because you produce your best work when you don't have to think that much about, whether who you are is going to be accepted. So we have worked very hard. Quite frankly, when I joined, there were many things that attracted me to this place in that regard. And we're only working to make sure that we are not only making an effort within our walls here, but for our portfolio companies and for the industry. And so when we think about the impact that we can have and how we need to behave, we think about all of that at the same time and try to hit everything at the same time, which is challenging. But I think that we have a very good thing going for us, which is that we have a very engaged population of employees that keeps us very honest, and that gives us a lot of feedback. And people that come here, as John said, they, I think, select us for a number of reasons. And one of them is because we're very vocal about what we stand for.
Great. Thank you for that. John, TPG has had a lot of experience building and enhancing portfolio company boards. You've also led a board diversity initiative within your portfolio, across your portfolio. How did that experience impact your thinking about your own board? And talk a little bit about, if you would, your current composition of the TPG board.
Scott, that's a good question, because we were very focused on and motivated to carry our values and what we feel is important as it relates to what's important about governing an organization into our portfolio companies. And we work very collaboratively with our the leadership of our portfolio companies. And really important is we worked as a team at TPG among our partners that sat on these portfolio company boards or that had led these investments to actually execute this transformation of our portfolio company boards. So we set out an initiative that we called our Board Diversity Initiative to change the diversity composition of all the boards we either controlled or that we had great influence over, and work collaboratively to do that. And what we did is we then went out in our networks, both informally and formally. We created partnerships with organizations that could put us in touch with great directors, people that had great experiences, operating experiences, life experiences, et cetera, to bring them and attract them to our ecosystem. And it was really not only a transformative experience as it relates to the boards and the governance process, but what was also transformative about it was that each of the partners or leaders around the firm that participated in doing this engaged in the process, because first of all, to do it, they had to, right? I mean, it was boards that they sat on, portfolio companies that they led investments on. And so they really had to, they had the relationships with the CEOs. And that experience of meeting people who had different backgrounds, diversity broadly defined, and then sitting around the table with them and seeing what they brought to the table, seeing what they were adding to the quality of leadership of the company at that level, at the board level, was really impactful to people, because there's nothing like experience and hands-on engaging with people from diverse backgrounds and seeing the value that brings, different perspectives, broader perspectives, different backgrounds that cause you to think about problems differently. There's nothing like that engagement that moves the needle in terms of people's passion and commitment to this than that. And so it wasn't very hard for us to sort of then take that to the next level with respect to our own board. And so when we were composing our own board is, first of all, is a little unique right now in the sense that it's comprised of a lot of insiders because of the nature of how we've transitioned from a private company to a public company. Mm-hmm. So we are currently what they call, kind of a controlled company, but we did begin the process of bringing in outside directors. And so far we have 2 outside directors, both women with really very rich backgrounds in a range of different disciplines that we've had one board meeting so far as a public company, and they already are bringing a lot of value. And I'm having, as is Anilu and other people, having off-cycle discussions with them as well, because they're really partners in our process and evolution as a public company. And having that perspective that they bring, not only, first of all, being outsiders, they don't work here every day, but they have great experience, and also the fact that they are diverse, okay, and so they bring different perspectives from their life experiences to us. And just having that perspective has been very valuable, frankly, from my perspective as CEO already, from a number of different perspectives. So we are, over time, what we have done is we've committed to our shareholders that over a period of time, we're going to be evolving our board from an mostly inside board to a majority of independent directors. And so that process is ongoing. And our two directors, Debbie and Mary, will also be helping us with that process as well, and helping us guide sort of the framework and our perspective as we think about bringing other directors on.
Wonderful. Thank you, John. I think we might have maybe one question left. Anilu, TPG has been involved in the Bloomberg Equality Summit since its early days. And over the years, we've discussed many topics: board diversity, TPG Next, and others. As it relates to DE&I, what's top of mind for you right now? And how do you continue to move, push the needle on these important topics?
Yeah, I think the name of the game is consistent and persistent outperformance, because we're coming from behind as an industry. And so for us, where we have our sights set on the senior leadership of the firm and making sure that we're opening as many doors for as many diverse leaders to progress and lead the firm, we believe that that will make us stronger as a firm. So all efforts when it comes to recruiting, to promotions, to how we pay people, and how people feel and experience the firm have to be to develop at every stage. But I would say consistently looking at every opportunity and senior leadership of the firm.
Great. Thank you. Well, I think we're out of time, unfortunately. Probably could spend another hour talking about this, but I want to thank you, John and Anilu, for joining us today and for such a great discussion. And thank you for your partnership around the Bloomberg Equality Summit. It means a lot to both our firm and your firm, and I'm glad we can partner on this together.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it.